these time periods, we're passing so many different ways of life and so many different transformations. I love that image. It's from the film Hexen. I love it. And one change in particular is the terminology of witches or white witches, as in some periods most cunning folk would have been horrified to have been called a witch and were actually consulted whenever somebody suspected a witch was conjuring against them. However, in the 1800s to the early 1900s, there seems to be a different development of the word witch. Now, of course, from around 1770 to the middle of the 1800s, there was a large romanticism movement occurring, and many older ideas and classical ideas have actually had a resurgence, but in ways that sometimes weren't particularly accurate in terms of their facts and fiction, and some of these carried through into the late 1800s. We had books coming out like The Golden Bow by James George Fraser, published in 1890, that had some very blurred areas in terms of facts and fiction. Charles... should have warned you. I was going to warn you about that next slide if it was. Books like Godfrey Leyland, who first published A Radio Gospel of the Witches in 1899, which was disputed by a lot of historians. And, of course, Margaret Murray, who published The God of the Witches in 1933. Now, this isn't to actually slate these books, by the way, and I had, and also anybody that identifies with the term witch, because I do myself. In my own personal view, to me, the witch is an embodiment of the spectral being, the idea of fetch flight or soul transvection to other realms in conjunction with familiar allies or spirits. As in history, there have been some blurred lines between the witch being a physical being and an ethereal spiritual being. And also for me, it's the element of tudding, what's known in East Anglia, or sending forth of maleficia, sending forth sort of, maleficia, you know what I mean? I can't say, yeah, that one. Or sort of negative spirits to people. And in terms of the terminology, to me, witch, that's what a part of that means to me, but I feel like that's a whole different talk completely, and I do ramble on, so I'm not going to go into it too much. And there were cunning folk at these time periods that identified with the terms white witch, village witch, wayside witch, and I don't doubt there were people that were practicing actual witchcraft too. Please be warned for this next image. And there are some examples found around this time period later, as I'm sure there are within other time periods, that scream witchcraft. And such an item is this, the museum that was found, an item that was found by Cecil Williamson in Boscastle Museum of Witchcraft and Magic. And it contains a red shoe with a